This program contains material that may be disturbing to some viewers. Viewer discretion is advised. One slip in front of a rampaging bull, and his best friend is gone.
I was running through scenarios in my mind of what I was gonna have to tell his parents.
A man dances through gators. Then one bites down to the bone.
As he reached down, the gator flipped up and grabbed him on the arm.
And terror in the barn. Millions of mice in a feeding frenzy.
You could hear the pigs screaming as the mice were just eating them alive.
Wild. Uncensored. Raw. Heart-stopping animal encounters. Caught on tape by everyday people from all over the world. Computer graphics will show you exactly what happened. And meet the survivors.
She's such an important part of my life, one of my best friends.
All on Untamed and Uncut. It's the running of the bulls. And the streets are about to be running with blood. Two best friends try their luck outsmarting the deadly beasts.
I looked behind me and saw that the crowd had kind of parted, and the only thing I was seeing was bulls.
But one of them is not going to make it to the finish.
My immediate gut feeling was that he was in grave danger and might not survive.
Josh Stevens and Marcus Wolf were on the high school football team together in Bakersfield, California.
Marcus, it's always, I've always considered him my best friend.
They go backpacking across Europe together.
We had wanted to kind of have one last hurrah, together before we both started our job.
And there's one historic event that's a magnet to two thrill-seeking adventurers. The Running of the Bulls in Pamplona, Spain. The centuries-old tradition celebrates driving bulls through town to a bullfight. Although critics charge it's cruel, because afterwards they'll die in the bull ring.
There are thousands of people in the street.
Coleman Cooney trains bullfighters in San Diego and has run with the bulls in Pamplona.
Every year there are injuries. Every run there are people who fall down, who are trampled. Serious gorings are quite common.
Josh and Marcus don't care about the danger. They're hell-bent on doing it.
Why not, take a chance and make a memory that, you're gonna have for the rest of your life.
Marcus's mom, Jill, is blissfully unaware of their plans to tempt fate.
My husband and I did not really know that they were going to run with the bulls that day.
The bulls are released through the narrow, twisting streets and headed toward Marcus and Josh.
There's actually a 90-degree turn called Dead Man's Turn.
Where you don't want to be a beginner is in those hard dogleg turns.
When I looked over my shoulder and saw the bulls, I was obviously getting more scared as they were approaching, but at the same time, the adrenaline in me was kicking in.
People frantically running for their lives fall like dominoes and are trampled. In the chaos, Josh and Marcus lose each other. Then the thundering bulls hit Dead Man's Turn. And disaster strikes.
He runs into that bunch of people that have fallen on the ground, and he's the last guy on the pile.
So when the bulls came around the corner and they lost their footing and slid, one of the horns actually went right into his hip.
Half a ton of speeding bull drives his razor-sharp, twisted horn right into Marcus's helpless body.
When the tip of that horn meets soft, yielding human flesh, it enters it without any friction whatsoever.
From this angle, you can actually see Marcus being carried through the air, impaled on the bull's horn.
The damage is catastrophic. The hemorrhaging, the damage to the internal organs. Bulls kill people.
I was looking around to see if I could see Marcus. I had turned around and saw him actually laying on the ground.
Josh races to Marcus. He's bleeding badly.
He looked up at me and said, "Oh, something bad happened."
That was a cornada grave, as the Spanish would say, a grave wound.
Coleman knows that Fighting Bull's horns are designed to kill.
At the tip of that horn is something the Spanish call a diamante, a diamond. And that is the hard, crystalline outer core of the horn. And that is rock hard and absolutely razor sharp.
A Fighting Bull's horns are not only hard and sharp, they are curved. Instead of going straight in, they penetrate like a corkscrew, tearing flesh and wiping out vital organs and arteries.
Where you're laying on the ground and they're pushing that horn into you is particularly frightening, and it ought to be. Sometimes people die.
Marcus is loaded onto a stretcher and rushed to the hospital.
I was running through scenarios in my mind of what I was gonna have to tell his parents.
Marcus's mom, Jill, a nurse, is 6,000 miles away in California.
I was pretty much in shock. I just kind of dropped the phone. When I heard that Marcus had to have exploratory surgery, I was very scared, wondering if the bullhorn had gored his kidney or liver.
Doctors discover Marcus's hip is broken in 3 places, and the horn has tunneled into the muscle under his rib cage. He spends a week in the hospital, and amazingly, Marcus survives.
I knew that I had broken my hip because I could feel the bones crackling and the muscles tearing on the bones as I was trying to run. As it starts to tighten through here and all the people start to cluster, and right about this time I'm getting caught up with everyone, and they're gonna make a sharp right-hand corner and then get me against the wall. When I first saw that the bull was right behind me, I didn't have much time to react because I had just tripped onto the pile of the people. And then as I closed my eyes, the bull was inside my hip before I knew it.
Marcus is fully recovered, but he still has the shirt he wore that day and the scar.
Why I bought it was the fake blood and the manufactured hole. You could tell people that you got gored by a bull, and it'd be a funny story. In reality, the irony is that 6 inches away, I was actually gored, and this is the hole that was produced, which in turn led to this.
I feel very fortunate that Marcus survived this. As a nurse, I know that had the gore gone 2 inches to the left and ruptured his kidney, the outcome could have been a lot worse.
I still, to this day, feel really lucky that Marcus was able to walk away from the situation and, doesn't have any long-lasting effects from it.
Josh and I left the event with a stronger friendship and a few good stories to tell our children and friends.
It's feeding time at an Arkansas gator farm. And Jamie Bridges is literally up to his ankles in alligators. Tourists can hardly believe the way Jamie dances around the gators as he hand feeds them raw chicken. But he's about to make a misstep that'll turn him into the main course.
As he reached down, the gator that he was standing over the top of flipped up and grabbed him on the arm.
The Arkansas Alligator Farm is a popular tourist attraction near Little Rock that's more than 100 years old. For years, Jack Bridges ran it with his sons, Jerry, Joe, and Jamie. And of the 3, it was Jamie who got along best with the gators.
Probably Jamie had the most interest of all of them. The middle son, the younger son, were a little fearful of him at first. And Jamie never was fearful of them.
They eat deer, dogs, ducks, fish, turtles, snakes, beavers, whatever. They would eat anything.
On a sweltering summer day, Jamie prepares to feed the gators as tourists crowd round the pen.
Like hold it shut. But when they bite down on something too big to swallow, they do the death roll. They spin. Like you spin on land or in the water. And they rip it off.
On hot days like this, cold-blooded animals like gators are most active and at their most dangerous.
If I fell off in here right now, 5 or 6 of them would grab me and start spinning.
Jamie's assistant cautiously stays on the wooden platform and feeds gators with a device called a grabber.
That's this metal deal like you pick up trash on. We use it to feed the alligators because you've got a little distance between you and him then.
But Jamie doesn't use a grabber. He climbs right into the pen with both hands full of raw chicken.
He was hopping around with the gators chomping at his heels.
Chuck Aylward and his family are among the tourists. He captures the scene on camera.
He would hold a piece of chicken up above the alligator's head and entice it to open its mouth and reach up, and then with the other hand throw a second piece into its mouth.
The gators follow Jamie like pet pooches at dinner time. At one point, he has half a dozen of them tailing him.
It seemed a little crazy, but he seemed to be good at what he was doing.
But alligators are good at what they do, too.
Alligators are fabulous hunters, and they've been very successful for millions of years.
Dr. Daphne Soares studies the neurology of alligators at the University of Maryland.
They have good vision, they have good hearing, they have very good sense of smell. Their sensory systems in general are very well tuned to the environment.
And as the gators in the food pen show, they can also jump to snag their dinner. Jamie makes a tiny mistake. A piece of chicken has fallen to the ground. In the crowd, 10-year-old Seth Aylward witnesses what happens next.
There's these 2 alligators right by the stage, kind of just waiting for the guy to give him some chicken. I think what happened was he was reaching for a piece of meat.
But it's not chicken the gators bite into. It's Jamie's arm.
The alligator kind of did like a backflip.
Now the gators got him in a death roll, and the hungry herd smells blood. Is there any way out? And coming up later, a hurricane blows precious pets away. Then, a woman and her dog crash, and hope is sinking. It's all next on Untamed and Uncut. Jamie Bridges is feeding gators at his family's Arkansas alligator farm. When a momentary lapse puts him on the menu.
He dropped his guard just for a brief second. He's just caught off guard.
Jamie's brother, Jerry Bridges, is nearby. He knows Jamie's in big trouble.
You're not going to open an alligator's mouth once it comes down. You're just going to have to rip through.
Alligators have the most powerful bite ever measured in the animal kingdom, 3,000 pounds per square inch. While the front of a gator's snout has only a few small muscles, the jowl area is packed with webs of thick, powerful muscles. So the further back in its jaws, the more forceful the bite. Luckily for Jamie, the gator doesn't have him in the back of its mouth.
He was fortunate that he didn't have it at the back of the alligator's mouth, that it was more at the front. He was just able to just rip his arm through.
Right here, Jamie does the unimaginable. He simply tears his arm free. But the gator isn't giving up.
If he would have fallen down, there could have possibly been 4, 5, 6 alligators on him.
Incredibly, Jamie tries to go on with the show. Then he realizes he'd better get help. He goes right by 12-year-old Elena Aylward.
You could see the blood, and there's a path of blood where he went, and it was scary.
Jamie's dad, Jack Bridges, knows instantly Jamie needs medical attention.
Well, he was turning white. I said, Jamie, lift your legs up. I said, the blood's leaving your head. I said, you're getting ready to go into shock. And so he did, and I said, Jerry, you run him on down to the emergency room.
Remarkably, when Jamie gets to the ER, x-rays reveal no broken bones. His wounds require 36 stitches, and although gator bites are notorious for causing infections, he heals up just fine.
When it first bit my arm, it was shock. I couldn't believe it. I was mad at myself because I let my guard down. And I thought, I've got to get him off before he does a death row. So I lifted my arm, lifted him up, and tried to grab him before he could do the death row. He started doing the death row, and I just ripped it out. And these gashes were at least half an inch wide, about a half inch deep.
It wasn't until he looked at the video weeks later that Jamie realized a second gator almost got him.
If the other one that came out of the water while the one had my left arm would have gotten my right arm, there's another one behind him would have gotten my leg. It could have been the end of my life. I know that.
He also never knew the first gator kept coming.
I'm glad I jogged because I didn't realize that joker chased me. He chased me for about 10 or 15 feet.
Sure enough, Jamie went back to feeding gators by hand. These days, he's not afraid of them at all. But he has learned an important lesson.
I definitely will be more careful now, and I won't be picking up chicken off the ground when there's an alligator close by.
Hurricane, floods, catastrophe.
It was devastating.
And the victims aren't just people. Thousands of animals are stranded, alone and in distress.
They had no food, they had no water.
And hope is fading.
My first thought was, oh my God, how are we going to get these animals out of here?
Jim and Debbie Shackelford lived in Burgaw, North Carolina with their cows and a retired racehorse, the beloved Mr. Jim.
I love my animals. We had a little miniature ranch.
But this 4,000-strong community finds itself right in the path of a deadly hurricane. Hurricane Floyd batters 300 miles of coastline, unleashing 110-mile-an-hour winds and unrelenting rains. The worst storm in 100 years causes flooding of biblical proportions.
The Northeast Cape Fear River crested at about 23 and a half feet. It was up to rooftops. People were living in their attics.
Local veterinarian Cindy Burnett and then husband Buster Leverett are surrounded by rising water.
The agencies made arrangements for the humans to be taken out of the area.
When they were brought out by the National Guard, they weren't allowed to take anything but themselves and the clothes on their back. No luggage, no pets, no nothing.
Some animals make it out. Here, a helicopter crew member wades into the floodwaters to help save a procession of dogs. But they're the lucky ones. Thousands of other animals are stranded. No one's going to rescue them. So Buster and Cindy decide they have to get in a boat and go save the animals themselves.
I was not part of any kind of rescue group or any fire department. It became apparent to me and Cindy that there were more animals there that needed to be taken care of.
In no time, they find mules and horses up to their necks in water.
We rescued 3 horses and a mule. We sedated them, attached them to the boat.
Watch as Buster holds the mule's head above water as they head to dry land where residents have gathered.
So when they saw that we were taking animals out of the water, they would write on napkins where their houses were, and they would tell us that they had a dog or a cat.
And so the rescue effort gathers pace.
A few situations, the animals basically went ballistic on you. They just grabbed you. Especially cats. They were very prone to want to just hold on and not let you maintain any kind of control.
It is a study in the way animals behave under stress.
We had boats that had cats and pit bulls and chickens all in the same boat. They just sat there, and they wanted us to help them.
But not all animals are so cooperative. A stubborn pig stands on top of a submerged car. They hope they'll eventually coax him down.
We worked 18 to 20 hours a day.
After 5 days, just when these angels of mercy thought they'd seen it all, a sight rips their hearts out. The Shackelford's horse, Mr. Jim, and 4 cows, 2 of them calves, are huddled on the deck of their house.
The water in my yard, in my backyard, was close to 9 foot deep. My son and I, we picked them up on the porch, barely. We barely made it, but we got them on the porch.
The porch is a temporary place of safety, but 5 days of standing up to their necks in polluted water is taking its toll.
I think hypothermia and dehydration was already kicking in.
She stays out there where it gets...
Trouble is, by this time, Cindy's back at the animal hospital, and without a vet, Buster can't sedate them. That rules out pulling the animals alongside the boat like they did before.
They couldn't stay there long and still survive.
But how can they possibly move 4 cows and a horse that are fading fast?
These horses and cows are in grave danger. If we don't take them out now, they will die.
Up next, help is on the way, but can they get there in time? And later, animals eaten alive by mice.
I believe we did the best we could for the animals, but the best wasn't good enough.
It's all next on Untamed and Uncut. Hurricane Floyd unleashes torrential rains, causing some of the worst floods in living memory. Selfless volunteers pluck thousands of animals from the rising flood waters. But Jimmy and Debbie Shackelford's 4 cows and beloved horse, Mr. Jim, are stranded on the deck of their house.
I love my animals dearly, and it was really bad on me to see my animals standing in water so long and there was nothing I could do about it.
Buster Leverett and then wife veterinarian Cindy Burnett perform several miraculous rescues. When Buster happens upon the Shackelfords, he knows they have to act fast.
They had been beaten down by the weather and the cold for hours on hours on end.
The water's coming up on them. Hypothermia is setting in.
Standing for 5 days on the raised deck, the toxic water is now eating into their flesh.
Their skin would have become rotten from the polluted water.
Then Jimmy has an idea. A few hundred yards from the house is a creek where Jimmy has a floating dock. This flat wooden boat landing is secured to the riverbank, but actually floats on the surface of the water. Jimmy wonders if they can float the dock over to the house, where the animals are, board them, then turn it into a giant life raft, and carry the animals to dry land.
When my husband first mentioned this idea to me, I did not think it would work.
When I come to get it, it was 20 foot from where it is now, 20 foot high, wedged in the tree. When I went to cut it loose, there was a big old rattlesnake laying in the corner, scared me to death.
By now, local farmer George Steinmark is helping.
This is the boat I used during the rescue.
And his boat has 2 engines on the back.
I let both motors down. We had plenty of power.
Between them, George and Buster push the dock up against the house. What happens next amazes the rescuers.
It was so remarkable that these people were just able to lead these animals up on this floating dock. They acted like they had done it every day of their lives.
Now they have to push the makeshift Noah's Ark 2 miles, and the danger is far from over.
If they start having a reaction or find it uncomfortable and they start kicking and moving around, we're in grave danger.
Slowly, they inch down what looks like a river, but which is in fact a flooded highway.
And we were having to go so slow because it was heavy with the animals and the dock.
Finally, they near dry land, and Mr. Jim's one happy horse again.
This big old horse had his feet up in the air, just rolling on his back, and he just loved the dry ground.
They jumped off and ran off and were bucking. I truly believe that they were celebrating, that they were happy.
Hurricane Floyd claimed the lives of more than 50 people and devastated entire communities. But it also resulted in some of the most astonishing animal rescues ever witnessed. Between them, Cindy and Buster rescued over 400 animals in a week.
The whole effort was a miracle. No ifs, ands, or buts.
They even found a home for the feisty pig when he eventually came down from the roof of that car. Jimmy and Debbie lost everything, but they rebuilt.
This is the great Mr. Jim, and he'll show you his teeth.
Yeah.
That's his calling card. He shows everybody his teeth. He needs a teeth brushing, but...
Mr. Jim is back with them, and even at the ripe old age of 30, he isn't the least bit camera shy.
Saving him was a miracle because he was my buddy. And we rode many miles together, me and Jim did. And as you can see, he likes to show off.
It was an incredible, frightening, amazing, heartwarming experience. People just pulled together.
A plague of mice swarms an Australian family farm.
There was hundreds of thousands of millions of them, I'd say.
Rodents ravage the fields. They're in the farmhouse walls and pipes. They fill the night with terror. But when they attack the farm's helpless pigs, they drive this family to the point of despair.
I believe we did the best we could for the animals, but the best wasn't good enough.
Rob Berlin, his wife Marion, daughter Catherine, and son Brad always took pride in their 2,000-acre farm, where they raised pigs, sheared sheep, and grew wheat and barley. But everything changed the summer the mice showed up.
We started to notice that there was a lot of mice in the paddocks, and it became a bit of a concern to us. In our wildest dreams, we didn't believe it would get to the stage that it got to.
At first, Rob sets traps, but it doesn't stop the mice. Within weeks, the swarm grows into a tsunami. They demolish the grain in the field. They attack the silos.
You'd actually see them tracking up along the seams, trying to get to the top to get into them. You'd see them falling off of it.
Being nocturnal creatures, they do most of their marauding at night.
It was like waves of them. At night time, there was no ground to see. It was just mice moving in.
For Mary and Berlin, the nights are endless as mice lay siege to the family's home. Their sanctuary.
At night time, we could see them running up and down the screens here. We could hear them running up and down in the wall cavity.
We took all the things like the ceiling fans and the air conditioner ducts and everything out, and we cut cement sheeting and we put over all those ducts just to keep the mice out of the house.
And the mice turn everyday mundane tasks into nightmares.
But if you wanted to mow the lawn even, for example, you had to pull the lawnmower to bits and get the mice out of the fan, the cooling system, and you'd have to mend the wiring that they'd chewed through just to mow your lawn.
The ravenous invaders only want one thing: to eat. Mice consume about 15% of their body weight each day, and these mice strip all the grain from the fields. Then they set their sights on the pig nursery, where sows are nursing their piglets.
It was terrible for the pigs. Just at night, you could hear the pigs screaming as the mice were just obviously eating them alive. The next day, you'd be able to see it, just huge wounds on their body where they'd been eaten.
The smallest piglets would have their hooves gnawed off of them. You'd have the sows where their nipples had been chewed off of them. It was just horrific. It was just like a war zone.
It isn't just the Berlin family that's affected. The mouse plague sweeps through 3 Australian states, an area the size of Texas.
In towns, they had to close schools. Mice were running all through the classrooms. There was mouse urine all over the desks, all over the children's books. It was a health problem.
Dr. Ron Sinclair, a senior research officer for the state of South Australia, says the plague was caused by a freakishly long breeding season and a conservation program that backfired. The autumn before, the farmers didn't till the soil, which left mouse holes intact, as well as stubble and seed for the remaining mice to feed on.
The mice have protection from weather, and they have a food source. They're also protected from predators because there's a stubble there.
As winter approaches, the mice burrow deep into the fields, and since food is plentiful, they continue to breed, up to 50 mice in a burrow, and hundreds of burrows an acre. When springtime arrives, the hordes spill out, hunting for food, at the rate of about 3 million mice per square mile. Back on the farm, the Berlin family has been battling to keep their pigs and the other livestock safe from the rodents for months.
We just had a really, really bad day. One by one, we just all started crying. And there was no argument, nothing was said, but it was just the despair of it all.
Everyone was just overwhelmed and exhausted and had enough, frustrated, just ready for it to end.
Up next, how can they stop the carnage? Then,
I don't know I'm going to make that airport.
a pilot's going down, and her dog is by her side.
I was expecting to find pieces of wreckage strewn over a half-mile or so of marsh.
It's all coming up on Untamed and Uncut. This program contains material that may be disturbing to some viewers. Viewer discretion is advised. A plague of mice in South Australia attack the pigs on Rob and Marion Berlin's farm.
We're past the anger stage. It's just gone on for too long. It's just now desperation. We don't even know whether we should just be leaving.
For a long time, the government forbids farmers from using poisons. But in a desperate attempt to save farms and livestock, officials relent and allow farmers to deploy strychnine, a potent rodent killer, according to Dr. Ron Sinclair.
It dissolves out of the stomach very quickly, extremely quickly, and goes into the bloodstream. The way that a mouse passes away is that the diaphragm seizes and it can't breathe, so they actually die of asphyxiation.
Rob carefully baits his grain with a tiny amount of the poison, and the results are staggering.
These are the buckets that we used to use to collect up the mice, and every morning between Marion and myself and the kids, we would collect 25, 30, maybe 35 bucketfuls of mice. And we just pile them up here, and then we'd burn them.
But it doesn't end the plague. No matter how many mice they kill, more pour in from the surrounding countryside.
All you were doing was making more room for more to come in. That was all that we were achieving at that stage, and we were having no real effect.
Eventually, the mice run out of food. They eat the electrical wiring in the buildings and machinery. And then, horrifyingly, they turn on themselves.
The mice got to the point whereby they started to cannibalise one another.
It's truly shocking, but a definite sign the end is near. Rob's daughter, Catherine, notices a change.
I remember seeing that the mice numbers were sort of starting to reduce, and then they seemed to, drop off very, very quickly.
Over a space of a week or so, we went from huge numbers to hardly seeing a mouse to seeing nothing.
Suddenly, the mice vanish. But the farm is in ruins, and the poor pigs have been decimated. Out of 1,000 pigs and piglets, the family is left with just 300.
These areas here is where our sows were just being eaten alive. It was a really, really incredibly stressful time.
Rob still gets emotional when he thinks about that gut-wrenching time and about his pigs. But he and his family are thankful. They still have each other, and they're still farming. Not even 1 million mice could stop that.
I think we're very lucky in the fact that we're a very tight, close family. I think that bond certainly helped us survive.
And now, an untamed shortcut. So, how did the mice population take over the farm? One mouse can give birth to an average of how many babies in a single year? A, 20. B, 100. C, 200. The answer when Untamed and Uncut returns. Female mice in the wild start to give birth when they are around 4 weeks old. And if the female is fertile, she will have about 100 mice a year. So the answer is B, 100. Terror in the air as a plane's engine suddenly dies.
I don't know I'm going to make that airport.
Those are Eugenia Singer's last words before her plane crashes. And she's not alone. Also on board, her beloved dog, Kira.
You're in a deserted area, which is swampy, and you just don't know what's going to happen next.
Kira, a golden retriever Labrador mix, was Eugenia Singer's shadow.
Definitely Eugenia's dog. There is no question about it. And those two bonded immediately.
Burton Singer says the lovable yearling went everywhere his wife went, including up in the air.
She just laid in the back, and it was never any interference.
One October day, Eugenia and her furry sidekick take off to St. Simon's Island, Georgia, where the Singers have a vacation home. The two are almost there when tragedy strikes. Their plane goes down in a grassy marsh.
I knew it was a critical situation.
The United States Coast Guard is alerted, and a rescue team immediately launches into action.
They basically told us that we had one aircraft down approximately 18 nautical miles southeast of Hunter Army Airfield.
We're here off of Brunswick.
Aircraft Commander Mark Upson and his team board a helo and head out to Eugenia's last known coordinates.
We had no idea what we were going to come up to. I was expecting to find pieces of wreckage strewn over a half mile or so of marsh.
The officers have to act fast. If the crash hasn't killed them, hungry predators lurking in the marsh just might.
Tons of alligators and water moccasins.
What they find is a welcome surprise.
Seeing a pilot standing in front of the plane with their dog, shocked. She crash landed that aircraft into the marsh with absolutely no damage that I could tell to the aircraft whatsoever.
Eugenia and Kira are alive, but they're not out of danger.
The dog seemed pretty traumatized and shaking.
The water whipped up by the chopper is pounding Eugenia and Kira.
When you're in the water, it hurts.
I knew that it was going to be somewhat of a difficult rescue. We don't know how the dog is going to react to us. Don't know how the dog's going to react in the helicopter.
They're about to find out. John Holberg, the rescue swimmer, dives out of the chopper and makes his way to Eugenia and Kira. One of these metal rescue baskets is also lowered to bring the pair up. But the commotion spooks Kira.
Kira just wanted to run away. She was just a scared dog.
John's worried in her panic. The dog may jump out of the basket or worse, push Eugenia underwater. He makes a difficult call.
I told her that if she couldn't hold on to her dog, I was going to have to come back for the dog later. And she understood the seriousness of it.
I was really afraid that we were going to have to leave Kira behind.
Coming up, can they calm Kira down, or will she have to be left behind? That's next on Untamed and Uncut. Eugenia Singer and her dog Kira have survived a plane crash into a Georgia marsh. But surviving the rescue is a whole other story. A Coast Guard chopper lowers a metal rescue basket down to Eugenia and Kira, hoping to pull both up to safety.
Right 15, right 10.
But the pelting water whipped up by the chopper has the dog in a panic.
The dog kept trying to run away and jump out.
Rescue swimmer John Holberg orders Eugenia to climb into the basket and hold on to Kira. But now there's an even bigger problem.
It got frantic. She was drowning her owner, and it was really hard to keep the dog inside the basket.
Eugenia is lying flat in the basket holding onto Kira's collar, but the 50-pound dog is on top of her and fighting to get free. The weight of the struggling dog is now pushing the basket and Eugenia deeper and deeper underwater.
I'm trying to keep the survivor's head above water.
I could see Miss Singer gasping for air in between waves.
Flight mechanic Adam Morehouse is inside the chopper praying Eugenia can hang on to Kira.
Get that dog, John. There you go.
Finally, the hoist starts to move.
Ready to take the load? Taking the load.
They have to make 30 feet to reach the chopper.
Kira started to freak out and was trying to get away from the situation.
I was afraid that the dog might leap out.
Miss Singer was holding on to her. She had a death grip on her, and you could see the white off of her knuckles holding on to the dog.
Rescuers know a fall from this height could be deadly.
Woman in the dog are clear of the water.
Miss Singer's feet were sticking out, and she had Kira on her chest and was holding her down so that way the dog wouldn't move.
This isn't standard procedure for hoisting victims, but it may be their only shot.
The woman and the dog are just underneath the aircraft. Still bringing them up.
Thankfully, it works.
Bringing them in. Roger. Bringing the woman and the dog inside the cabin.
When I saw the basket get brought into the cabin of the helicopter and the survivor still had her dog, so I was very relieved.
They stay in the basket as it's safely positioned in the chopper. Amazingly, neither are injured.
I would have been absolutely devastated.
Throughout the harrowing rescue, it was Kira Eugenia says she was most worried about.
She's such an important part of my life, one of my best friends.
There he is. Today, 6 months after her crash, Eugenia and Kira drop by to say thank you to the officers who saved their lives.
Last time I saw her, she was very scared.
Wasn't she?
Oh, man.
Oh, man, she was shaking. In that helicopter, I mean, she had me shaking.
It was a pleasure being able to pick you up.
Thank you, John. Thank you.
Great seeing you, Gina. Take care.
And while Eugenia was giving out hugs, Kira had her own special way of saying thank you. For more wild, shocking, and outrageous videos, visit our website at animalplanet.com/Untamed and Uncut.